Abatement, a reduction, decrease, or elimination of a condition, expense, or nuisance. In Arizona real estate, abatement commonly refers to the reduction of property taxes, rent, or assessments, or the legal removal of a nuisance such as environmental hazards, e.g., asbestos abatement. Abatements may be ordered by a court or negotiated as part of a settlement or transaction. Absorption, the rate at which available properties, such as vacant homes, apartments, or commercial space, are sold or leased in a given market over a specific period of time. Arizona agents use absorption rates to determine market strength, pricing strategies, and whether conditions favor buyers or sellers. Abstract of title, a written, chronological summary of all recorded documents affecting ownership and interests in a specific parcel of real property. This includes deeds, mortgages, liens, easements, court judgments, and other recorded instruments. In Arizona, abstracts do not guarantee title and are largely replaced by title insurance and title commitments issued by licensed title companies. Abstract of judgment, a condensed summary of a court judgment that, once recorded, becomes a lien against the debtor's real property located in that county. Arizona agents must be alert to judgment liens when reviewing title commitments, as they must typically be satisfied or released before closing. Acceleration, a loan provision allowing the lender to demand immediate payment of the entire remaining loan balance upon borrower default. Common triggers include missed payments, unauthorized transfers, due on sale, or violation of loan covenants. Acceleration clauses are frequently enforced in Arizona foreclosures. Accession, the legal process by which an owner acquires title to additions or improvements attached to real property. This may occur through fixtures being permanently affixed or through natural processes such as alluvial deposits. In Arizona, accession issues may arise in rural, agricultural, or river-adjacent properties. Accretion, the gradual and natural increase of land due to the accumulation of soil, sand, or sediment by water movement. Land gained through accretion becomes the property of the adjoining landowner. While less common in Arizona than coastal states, accretion may occur near washes, rivers, or floodplains. Accord and satisfaction, a legal method of settling a dispute or debt where the creditor agrees to accept less than the amount owed, the accord, and the debtor fulfills that agreement, the satisfaction. In real estate, this may arise in short sales, negotiated lien releases, or settlement of escrow disputes. Acknowledgement, a formal declaration before a notary public verifying that a person signing a document did so voluntarily and is properly identified. In Arizona, acknowledgements are required for deeds, deeds of trust, and other recordable instruments to prevent fraud and ensure enforceability. Acre, a unit of land measurement equal to 43,560 square feet. Arizona agents frequently convert acres to square footage when marketing rural, agricultural, or large residential parcels. Actual notice, direct knowledge obtained through personal observation, inspection, or documentation. Examples include reading a recorded deed, physically observing possession of property, or receiving written notice of an easement. Actual notice differs from constructive notice, which is implied by public record. Adjustable rate mortgage, ARM, a mortgage loan with an interest rate that adjusts periodically based on a financial index. ARMs may include caps, adjustment intervals, and initial fixed periods. Arizona buyers often use ARMs for short-term ownership or affordability strategies. Adjusted basis, the original cost of a property plus capital improvements, minus accumulated depreciation. Adjusted basis is critical for calculating capital gains taxes upon sale and is frequently discussed with Arizona investors and tax professionals. Ad valorem tax, a property tax levied based on assessed value. In Arizona, ad valorem taxes fund local services and are calculated by county assessors using statutory assessment ratios and tax rates. Adverse possession, a legal doctrine allowing a person to claim ownership of land by openly, continuously, and hostilely occupying it for a statutory period. Arizona law imposes strict requirements, including duration, exclusivity, and sometimes payment of property taxes. Agency, a fiduciary relationship where an agent is authorized to act on behalf of a principal. Arizona real estate agency relationships are governed by statute, common law, and written agreements, imposing duties of loyalty, disclosure, confidentiality, obedience, reasonable care, and accounting. Agent, a licensed individual authorized to represent a principal in real estate transactions. Arizona salespersons act under the supervision of a designated broker and owe fiduciary duties to their clients. Air rights, the legal rights to use, control, or develop the airspace above a parcel of land. Air rights are often relevant in urban developments, commercial projects, and high-density zoning environments in Arizona cities. Airspace, the three-dimensional space enclosed within a condominium unit, defined by its walls, floors, and ceilings. Arizona condominium ownership typically includes fee simple ownership of airspace plus an undivided interest in common elements. Alienation, the transfer of ownership or title to real property by voluntary means, sale, gift, or involuntary means, foreclosure, eminent domain. Arizona law recognizes both forms, with distinct legal consequences. Allocation of markets, an illegal antitrust practice where competitors agree to divide markets to limit competition. Arizona licensees must avoid any conduct that restricts consumer choice or violates federal and state antitrust laws. Amortization, the process of paying down a loan through regular installments that include both principal and interest. Most Arizona residential loans are fully amortized, though some include balloon payments or interest-only periods. Annual percentage rate, APR, the total cost of borrowing expressed as an annual rate, including interest and certain finance charges. APR allows Arizona borrowers to compare loan offers more accurately. Antitrust laws, federal and state laws designed to promote fair competition and prohibit practices such as price fixing, collusion, and market allocation. Arizona real estate professionals must comply strictly to avoid severe penalties. Appraisal, a professional opinion of value developed by a licensed appraiser using recognized valuation methods. Appraisals are commonly required by lenders in Arizona purchase and refinance transactions. Appraiser, a state-licensed professional qualified to estimate property value. Arizona appraisers must meet education, experience, and ethical standards enforced by regulatory agencies. Appreciation, an increase in property value over time due to market forces, inflation, or improvements. Appreciation is a key wealth-building component for Arizona homeowners and investors. Appurtenance, a right or improvement that permanently belongs to and transfers with real property, such as easements, water rights, or parking rights. Appurtenances automatically convey unless specifically excluded. Appurtenant easement, an easement benefiting one parcel, dominant estate, while burdening another, servient estate. The easement transfers automatically with the dominant parcel in Arizona transactions. Arrears, payments made at the end of a period rather than the beginning. Property taxes, mortgage interest, and HOA dues are commonly paid in arrears in Arizona closings. Asbestos, a hazardous material once used in construction for insulation and fire resistance. Arizona sellers must disclose known asbestos, and remediation may be required before renovation or demolition. Assemblage, the combining of adjacent parcels into a single, larger parcel to increase value or development potential. Assemblage is common in Arizona commercial and land development projects. Assessed value, the value assigned to a property by the county assessor for taxation purposes. Assessed value differs from market value and follows statutory formulas in Arizona. Assessment, a charge levied by a homeowners association or condominium association to fund maintenance, repairs, or reserves. Special assessments must be disclosed to buyers in Arizona transactions. Asset, any item of value, tangible or intangible, including real estate, cash, securities, or contractual rights. Assets are analyzed by lenders when qualifying Arizona borrowers. Asset sale, a business transaction involving the sale of assets rather than stock or liabilities. In Arizona, real estate, asset sales may include property, equipment, leases, and goodwill. Assignment, the transfer of contractual rights or interests from one party to another. Arizona contracts may restrict assignment without consent, especially in leases and purchase agreements. Assumption, the buyer's acceptance of the seller's existing mortgage obligation, subject to lender approval. Some Arizona loans are assumable, while others contain due-on-sale clauses. Balloon payment, a large final payment that pays off the remaining loan balance at the end of a loan term. Balloon loans are common in Arizona commercial and seller finance transactions. Baseline, an east-west reference line used in the rectangular survey system in conjunction with principal meridians. Arizona land descriptions often rely on this system. Beginning basis, the original value of a property for tax purposes, typically its purchase price. Beginning basis is adjusted over time for depreciation and improvements. Benchmark, a permanent survey marker indicating elevation above sea level. Benchmarks are used in Arizona land surveys and development planning. Beneficiary, the party receiving benefits from a trust, will, insurance policy, or deed of trust. In Arizona, deeds of trust, the lender is the beneficiary. Bilateral contract, a contract in which both parties promise to perform. Most Arizona real estate purchase contracts are bilateral. Binder, a temporary agreement securing a buyer's intent to purchase property, often accompanied by earnest money. In Arizona, binders are typically replaced by full purchase contracts. Blind ad, an advertisement that fails to disclose the identity of the broker or licensee. Blind advertising is prohibited under Arizona real estate law. Blockbusting, an illegal practice involving inducing sales by exploiting fears of demographic changes. Blockbusting violates fair housing laws and is strictly prohibited in Arizona. Broker, a licensed professional authorized to operate a real estate business and supervise salespersons. Brokers owe statutory and fiduciary duties under Arizona law. Broker's opinion of value, BOV, an informal estimate of value provided by a broker, commonly used in commercial transactions. A BOV is not an appraisal. Brokerage, the business of representing clients in real estate transactions for compensation. Arizona brokerages operate under designated broker supervision requirements. Business brokerage, the representation of buyers and sellers of business entities, often involving real property, leases, and assets. Building code, local regulations governing construction standards and safety. Arizona municipalities adopt and enforce building codes through permitting and inspections.
Bundle of rights, the collection of ownership rights, including possession, use, transfer, exclusion, and enjoyment. These rights may be limited by law, agreements, or easements. Buy down, a financing strategy where upfront payments reduce the interest rate temporarily or permanently. Buy downs are common in Arizona new construction transactions. Buyer representation agreement, a written contract establishing an agency relationship between a buyer and broker. Arizona law strongly encourages written buyer representation. Buyer's market, a market condition where supply exceeds demand, giving buyers greater negotiating power. Arizona markets fluctuate between buyers and sellers markets. Capital gain or loss, the difference between a property's net sales price and its adjusted basis. Capital gains taxation is a major consideration for Arizona sellers and investors.
Capital improvement, a permanent improvement that increases property value or useful life. such as an addition or major renovation. Capital improvements affect tax basis. Capitalization rate, a ratio used to estimate investment returns based on net operating income. Cap rates are widely used in Arizona commercial real estate analysis. Cash flow, the net income remaining after operating expenses and debt service. Positive cash flow is a primary objective for Arizona rental investors. Certificate of occupancy, a document issued by a local authority certifying that a building complies with code and is fit for occupancy. Required for new construction and major renovations in Arizona. Certificate of title, a title professional's opinion regarding ownership status based on public records. Arizona transactions rely primarily on title insurance instead. Chain of title, the historical sequence of ownership transfers recorded for a property. Title companies examine chains of title to ensure marketability. Chattel, personal property that is movable and not permanently attached to real estate. Distinguishing chattel from fixtures is critical in Arizona contracts. Closing, the final step in a real estate transaction where ownership transfers, funds are dispersed, and documents are recorded. Arizona closings are typically handled by escrow companies. Closing statement, a detailed accounting of all financial aspects of a transaction, showing debits and credits to buyers and sellers. Cloud on title, any claim, lien, or defect that impairs marketable title. Clouds must be resolved before closing in Arizona transactions. Co-brokerage, a cooperative arrangement between brokers to share commissions. Arizona MLS systems promote cooperation among brokers. Collateral, property pledged as security for a loan. In Arizona, real estate collateral is commonly secured by a deed of trust. Collusion, an illegal agreement between competitors to restrict competition. Collusion violates antitrust laws and exposes Arizona licensees to severe penalties. Color of title, a claim to ownership based on a defective document. Color of title may support an adverse possession claim in Arizona. Commingling, the illegal mixing of client funds with brokerage funds. Arizona law strictly prohibits commingling and imposes severe discipline for violations. Common elements, areas of shared ownership or use in condominiums and commercial properties, such as lobbies, roofs, and parking areas. Common law developed through court decisions rather than statutes. Arizona real estate law is influenced by both statutory and common law. Community property, a marital property system under Arizona law where most property acquired during marriage is jointly owned by both spouses. Comparable, a property used for comparison and valuation. Selecting appropriate comparables is critical for Arizona appraisals and CMAs. Comparative market analysis, CMA, a broker's valuation tool using recent sales and market data. CMAs are commonly used for pricing Arizona listings. Concurrency, a planning requirement ensuring infrastructure improvements occur alongside development. Arizona jurisdictions apply concurrency standards in growth management. Condemnation, the government's taking of private property for public use through eminent domain, or a declaration that property is unfit for use. Condominium estate, ownership of a specific unit's airspace, plus an undivided interest in common elements. Consideration, anything of value exchanged to form a contract, including money, promises, or services. Consideration is required for enforceable Arizona contracts. Constructive notice, legal notice implied by public record. Recording documents in Arizona provides constructive notice to all parties. Contingency, a condition that must be met for a contract to become binding. Common Arizona contingencies include financing, appraisal, and inspection. Contract, a legally enforceable agreement between parties. Arizona contracts must meet specific elements to be valid. Contract for deed, a seller financing arrangement where legal title transfers after final payment. Used occasionally in Arizona land sales. Contribution, the added value a component provides to a property, not necessarily its cost. Conventional loan, A mortgage not insured or guaranteed by a government agency. Conventional loans are widely used in Arizona. Conversion. The improper use of client funds or the change of property from real to personal, or vice versa. Conveyance. The voluntary transfer of real property ownership. Cooperative estate. Ownership through shares in a cooperative association with a proprietary lease. Cost approach. An appraisal method estimating value by calculating land value plus replacement cost minus depreciation. Counteroffer. A response to an offer that changes its terms, effectively rejecting the original offer. Covenant. A promise or restriction contained in a deed or contract, such as CCNRs. Credit. Funds advanced or accounting entries reflecting payments owed or received. Credit evaluation. A lender's analysis of borrower creditworthiness. Courtesy. A widower's historical life estate interest, largely obsolete under modern Arizona law. Customer. A party who receives services without entering into an agency relationship.